The Tom Woods Show, episode 1460.
Prepare to set fire to the index card of allowable opinion. Your daily dose of liberty education starts here. The Tom Woods Show.
Folks, if you've ever considered publishing a book through Kindle, I have a lot of experience with it. I helped to publish Bob Murphy's book in Kindle, my own book, Real Descent, that was self-published, I published in Kindle, and I've assembled some videos that will show you step-by-step all the tech aspects of preparing your manuscript to be published as a Kindle book, and also a series of strategies that most people don't know about that Kindle itself makes available to you to help get the word out about your book so people actually see it and buy it. Get these videos for free at tomwoods.com/Kindle. Hi, everybody. Tom Woods here. Before I get into our episode for today, I want to correct something I said a couple of episodes ago. I said, I think on, well, I don't know what day it was this week, but episode 1458, I said, now, on tomorrow's episode, I'm going to have the guy who runs the Babylon Bee website on. But at the time I said that, I forgot about the debate episodes, and those have to run immediately, or otherwise they get stale. So we're doing the debate episodes. Tomorrow is when we'll have the gentleman from the Babylon Bee on. So if you're wondering what happened to that episode, I had people writing to me asking, did I miss that episode? No, you did not. It was my mistake. I misidentified the day that it would run because I forgot about these debates, which, you know, they are forgettable to some degree, but fun to talk about all the same. And for today's episode, we're talking to Tho Bishop of the Mises Institute, where he's assistant editor of the Mises Wire. And, well, you know, of course, as you know, yesterday we talked to Lou Rockwell about the first of the two debates. This is the first debate of the second round of debates. So we're talking about the end of July debates, 30th and 31st. We're talking about the July 31st debate in this episode. Yesterday we talked about the other one with Lou Rockwell. But Tho is helping us out here because I just cannot bring myself to ask any individual to sit through 2 nights of Democratic debate. So we're dividing it up between Lou and Tho. Tho, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
I just finished recording this week's episode of Contra Krugman with Bob, and Krugman's column is just so bad. So I started the episode with that sigh, and I asked myself, how many episodes of Contra Krugman have begun with that sigh? I think it's a whole bunch. I don't know how many debate episodes, maybe none yet, but, you know, as we were saying just before we started recording, these are becoming pretty indistinguishable at this point, especially because it's the same questions about the same issues, really. I mean, more or less the same questions to people who are more or less indistinguishable. Now, there are a couple who are distinguishable from the others. Andrew Yang and Marianne Williamson are going to give you different answers from what the others will give. And Tulsi on foreign policy will give you answers that are somewhat different. And she did have an interesting and memorable exchange with Harris in this debate. But otherwise, this is just excruciating. And I'm kind of a let everybody debate kind of guy. But at this point, I am begging them to tighten the admission requirements to these debates so I don't have to do this 2 nights in a row. I mean, though, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my listening audience, but I will say this is at the very least coming right up against it.
Oh, yeah, well, it's been painful. And your listeners cannot see me, but just to set the stage, I mean, I am sitting here at a table with no fewer than 3 Himalayan salt lamps and an orb that I bought from a gypsy down at Tuber's Corner because I'm totally on the Marianne Williamson train. I think that we need more people like her in politics, just adding it a little bit of a different flair. So having to go from that to watching what we saw last night, I think was definitely a letdown. Yang did, the original meme candidate this cycle, I thought did a little bit better job. He got a lot more airtime, which definitely helps. He got in some good quips. He loves that. What's the opposite of Donald Trump, an Asian guy with math? That's one of his favorite go-to lines. So at least he was able to go out there and do his secure the bag thing. But really, the only reason last night was memorable was the Tulsi exchange with Kamala Harris. And also, just how much punches were thrown at both Joe and Kamala. And, Joe had a little bit more energy this time than he had the first debate, but he cannot think on his feet. Especially when it came from someone else, right? It was like he was prepared with Kamala Harris threw punches at him, but when he got attacked by Booker, when he got attacked by de Blasio, who the highlight of Joe's performance was just him showing how much he really despises de Blasio, which is something actually I'll give him credit for. But outside of that, I mean, it's just we keep hearing just these constant talking points about healthcare. That we want to make sure that everyone gets it for free. We're going to ignore math is a right wing talking point. I don't see how much is going to change. The problem is that once they start reducing the stage, the first people they're going to take out are the interesting ones: Yang, Williamson, and Tulsi. And we're already seeing it with the way the Democratic Party threw out a debate that had Yang qualifying for the most ridiculous reason ever. Once again, the Democratic Party showing its committed hostility to democracy, which is the only thing they have going for them. That going forward, I think is going to be That's the unfortunate thing. That the smaller the debate stage, the more boring it's going to actually become.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although there are some there are some governors and stuff who are maybe so-called moderates, but they're still boring, who have basically no support. Right. And I wouldn't be super sad to see them go. But yeah, I don't want to. I would at least like to have those few in just because at least it keeps it sort of interesting. It's too bad about Marianne Williamson, by the way, that somebody who has this spiritual dimension wouldn't take that to where you'd think it would lead them, which is the idea that, look, we should. I mean, I don't know what her entire shtick is, but I could easily imagine somebody who's kind of flaky or new agey saying something like, we need to move beyond the ways we've interacted with each other in the past. And government is the most blunt, crude instrument of all. Surely we can figure out cooperative, voluntary solutions to our problems that don't involve the hangman and the executioner. Surely we have evolved to a level of consciousness that's a bit above the crude primitivism of thousands and thousands and thousands of years of the state. I could easily imagine somebody saying that, and she won't. She'll say, no, it's a great instrument of human advancement. Okay, so your great spiritual discovery is that we should just do things 3% differently from how we've done them before? I mean, I know she says things that you like from time to time, but that fundamental insight that she should be having and is not having annoys me. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, I'm kicking that over to you.
Yeah, I mean, her big thing, she wants to start new agencies. She wants a department of, I think, child welfare or something like that, which as long as we keep Jeffrey Epstein away from that, that's a whole different thing. You've got she wants to do the Department of Peace, which has been one of her big things for a while, which might be if you reform the Pentagon into the Department of Peace, that might be a slight improvement in some ways. But yeah, it's the same standard progressive stuff in a bag. Though it was interesting to see the think pieces that came out yesterday, where they were trying to make her out like you now have a lot of leftists who are concerned that she is taking away some of the spark from the more appropriate left-wing candidates. And so they're trying to paint her out to be some sort of spiritual reactionary because she gave spiritual advice to gay people suffering from HIV in New York rather than and tell them that they should consider what their own actions played rather than simply blaming the system that oppressed them, and how her entire spiritual philosophy is all about understanding that you as an individual have power on your life and that you can't simply play the victim card. Those pieces are the best propaganda out there to make my ironic support for Marianne Williamson become slightly less ironic. But yeah, every time she actually talks about policy, it never gets there. And the reparations thing, I think, is the more the Democrats embrace it, I think the more Trump is going to smile. The advantage she has, though, on the stage, which is the same thing that Tulsi has, it's the same thing that Andrew Yang has, it's the same thing that few of these others have, is that at least when they talk, even if they don't know what they're talking about, they sound authentic talking about it. Whereas you get someone like Kamala Harris up there, and she appears to have all of the genuineness, all that authenticity of Dana Bash's dye job. She doesn't. She keeps talking about out both sides of her mouth. She doesn't know where to go. She'll go from one side on the healthcare debate to the other. She'll has nothing else to bring up with Biden except for this busing issue. I thought she would get some new material, but she's just one of these politicians that her reason for running is to get the White House. Policies are simply means to that end. And I'm interested to see what her next evolution is, because I think that she's going to constantly be changing her positions in order to take advantage of some of these voids that are going to open up as we have more candidates start dropping out.
I have to, because I can't help myself, just address something that keeps coming up in these debates, which is that the climate crisis will nevertheless create a lot of jobs, millions of jobs. I think it was Harris who said that Donald Trump is so ignorant. He thinks wind turbines cause cancer. They don't cause cancer. They cause jobs. So now I could understand somebody saying, look, we are facing an extremely challenging situation when it comes to climate change. It's a situation that threatens the future of life on this planet. And so for the time being, we're going to have to tighten our belts, live a little bit beneath our means and beneath the expectations we might have had for our material condition in order to cope with what we're facing. I could at least understand that. What I don't understand is we're facing an unbelievable crisis that's going to involve the expenditure of huge resources. But thank goodness we're facing this terrible crisis, because it'll put a lot of people to work and it'll create economic prosperity. I mean, if we weren't facing a crisis that threatened civilization, we would be in terrible shape, is right. What they seem to be saying. What a strange thing to say.
Absolutely. And this, of course, goes back directly to kind of the original Green New Deal document where AOC constantly was comparing her proposal to the lead up to World War II. It's like, if we can energize society and organize the economy in a way to come up with, the World War II, I mean, at least they're explicitly trying to equate their policies to a military preparedness. And what's interesting, though, is that nobody seems to be identifying the fact that, hey, look, okay, we know this issue is going to come up. And if we're simply keep using the phrase Green New Deal and we start debating on little bit things at the margin, well, then nobody's going to remember that the next day, right? I mean, especially if you're a minor candidate, your goal is to have something a little bit different that will spin off a little bit more media so that you might be able to get a little bit of a boost to keep playing the game. The fact that nobody's talking about nuclear energy, the fact that nobody is talking about any actual innovative solutions outside of simply, just give government more control, I think that again, it just shows the lack of creativity that they have there. It also just shows just how intellectually bankrupt I think the left really is. I mean, they don't want to offer anything that's not a big government solution that's doesn't stop the slow creep to full socialism that has become increasingly more popular on the left. In part because they're so afraid of alienating the progressive base that if you have, like John Delaney, right? I mean, I know that you and Lou talked about this a great deal yesterday, but how the moderates really aren't that moderate. But at least someone like John Delaney, who has a very interesting background in the private sector. It's a shame that he doesn't recognize the threat that the government actually plays to that. But he's got an interesting background. He has some plans that he's actually put a lot of effort in. And him simply pointing out little things like cost get him immediately savaged on Twitter as being some sort of right-wing reactionary that has no business being in the Democratic Party. Anything that goes outside of questioning the fact that this is Bernie Sanders' party now, which is actually, I think, one of the things that hurts his campaign is that everyone sounds like him. It's very difficult to stand out, and it's very difficult to go forward. But again, nobody on that stage that has any sort of real money raised, that has any sort of momentum, wants to offer anything outside of watered down Bernie 2016 rhetoric.
Let's say something about that Harris and Gabbard exchange. Can you set it up and tell people exactly what happened? I mean, I bet a lot of people at least saw the clip.
Oh, yeah. What was great is that, so we had just had a run on questions about criminal justice reform generally, and CNN, being the enemy of the people, did not bring up Kamala Harris at all in her actual record as a prosecutor in California. And up to that point, I thought Tulsi could be frustrating to me because I love her talking about war. I think that there are some other little parts about her background that I think are really interesting, more than just simply than simply the anti-war side, which would have been enough by itself to be a lesser evil sort of situation. But she was kind of playing timid. Her opening statement was forgettable. And then all of a sudden, they asked her a question and she goes right to Kamala Harris and saying, look, I'm really troubled by Kamala's record on criminal justice reform because, she's out here talking a good game. When she was in a position of power, she was locking up black families. She was destroying lives over marijuana and then laughing about smoking it herself on radio. She highlighted just the really sinister side of Kamala Harris. I think she was extremely articulate at it. and Kamala Harris, who should have saw this coming. I mean, Gabbard was telegraphing that she was going to go after Kamala Harris that night. She didn't know how to respond, and Kamala Harris' response was like, "Oh, well, Tulsi, it's easy for you to give a good speech, but I had to do things that were being done." I wanted to see Tulsi come back again and say, listen, lady, like, I was an actual soldier, as a medic in Iraq. Don't tell me about simply giving political speeches for a living. That was what you were doing your entire career. But I've seen the realities of the world. But just simply the fact that she had that moment, it's been hugely successful on Twitter. It made her the most Googled candidate afterwards. Of course, now social media is trying to crack down on her organic search because she is being perceived as a threat to the mainstream, and she's a Russian bot candidate. She's an Assad apologist, which Kamala Harris actually tried to use afterwards. Of course, Tulsi Gabbard is an Assad apologist in the same way that anybody questioning whether Saddam had weapons of mass destruction was a Saddam Hussein apologist in 2001. They have nothing new against her. It was good to see her actually spice it up a little bit. And we'll see if that's enough to actually give her campaign some real momentum, or if it's simply a black eye that Kamala Harris has to recover from. Because sometimes you have these moments, like, for example, Chris Christie knocking out Marco Rubio's candidacy, the best thing he's ever done in politics. It didn't help his candidacy at all, Christie's that is, but it did successfully destroy Rubio. It will be interesting to see the long-term consequences of that back and forth, because I don't think there's any question about it. She was the big winner last night just for delivering those easy-to-share viral moments.
And what it kind of makes you wonder about is, given that Harris did get propelled into top-tier status after the first debate, why is Tulsi the only one doing this?
Yeah.
These facts are available to anybody.
Yeah.
And if you want to emerge from the basement, you're going to have to do something bold. Why is she the only one who wants to? And basically, the arguments she was making were very anti-establishment arguments.
Yep.
She's saying Harris, at least when it comes to criminal prosecution, is part of the establishment, and I'm going to take her down. Well, good for her, because everybody else is either too cowardly or lazy to do it.
Well, I think for a lot of them, again, as for example, if you are a governor from a state and you're a white guy, the fact that you're running in this Democratic primary at all kind of shows just how little you understand the political world you're dealing with. Because again, if a lot of them, if Michael Bennett, right, the senator from Colorado, who may have the smallest mouth I've ever seen in an adult male, if he actually went after Kamala Harris, I don't know if he particularly cares about this issue, but if he actually went on Kamala Harris like that, we know exactly what the response would be. A Senator Bennett is mansplaining to Kamala Harris, a black, a woman of color, criminal justice reform, right? They have their hands cuffed because of the ridiculous identity politics of the left right now. So I think that works to Tulsi's favor. So I think that helps her. But you did see a few more of the other candidates get a little more comfortable going after the, I guess, kind of still nominally the front runner, but definitely falling backwards, Joe Biden. He has some, a big back and forth with Cory Booker. At one point, it looked like Cory Booker wanted to take a swing at the guy, which would have made it for far more entertaining television and made this recap a lot more entertaining. De Blasio went after him. Castro went after him, and some really good Obama alum versus Obama alum crime. But I think it's precisely the fact that Tulsi Gabbard is a woman on the stage that gives her the perfect opportunity to go after Kamala Harris. And what's interesting is that she didn't even get into the commander-in-chief stuff, which Tulsi Gabbard brought on the campaign trail, I think it was last week, saying that she doesn't think Kamala Harris is even fit to be commander-in-chief because of her background. That wasn't brought out at all. And so again, if she can keep qualifying for these debates, we are going to see more fireworks between the two. And that's great. And some free advice out there for Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, she should be trying to knock on your door, begging to get on your podcast, Tom. She should be trying to get on Dave Smith's podcast. She should be trying to do Michael Malice, the Ron Paul Report, because the only shot that she has is broadening her donation base. And the best way she could possibly do it is reaching out to libertarians. That's Andrew Yang actually gave us a shout out.
He even said, he even said, I'm building a coalition that includes libertarians and conservatives. Yeah. Yet why would she not want to do that? I mean, and she doesn't even have to be so open about it. Her supporters don't even have to know she was on Dave Smith's show. But she'll definitely get hundreds of donations from it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you're a libertarian and you're not willing to donate $1 to a very effective anti-war, basically just think of it as a PSA. Okay, she's going to say dopey stuff about free college. She is going, she's can't be trusted on gun policy. I get that. Those are big things. We should ignore that. But if you simply have the opportunity to pay $1 to see a anti-war PSA go in front of 10 million people on CNN, and best of all, cause Jennifer Rubin's head to explode in the Washington Post the next day, there are far worse ways of spending $1. So I personally have given Tulsi $1 myself. I wish she would do more outreach to libertarians, because this is such an obvious base for her. And when you consider that New Hampshire has that sort of built-in sort of network there, it is just, I don't know who is managing her campaign. Maybe the person managing her campaign really doesn't care that much about it, but she is just committing it's just stupidity not to be offering a handout to natural allies that care about her signature issue.
Though, let me take just a minute to say something to the folks out here. If you are the sort of person who says, there's no way I have time to watch the Democratic debates, I'll let Woods and Bishop summarize them for me, then I've got just the thing for somebody as busy as you. Because I bet there are a lot of things you'd like to do. There are a lot of books you'd like to read. You haven't got time for that. Just give me the gist of it. Give me the meat of it in 15 minutes. And that's why you need the Blinkist app, which I highly recommend. It's the only app that takes the best key takeaways, the really need-to-know information from thousands of nonfiction books, and then condenses them down into just 15 minutes that you can read or listen to. While you're on the go, you could plausibly finish 4 books in a day. I like Blinkist because it allows me to get through an enormous amount of material in a very short amount of time. And I use it when I'm carting my girls around hither and yon. I tend to listen to books that help me become more efficient. So The 4-Hour Work Week is one. Getting Things Done by David Allen is one. Well, you can join the 8 million people using Blinkist right now with this special offer. For a limited time, Blinkist has an offer just for our audience. Go to Blinkist.com/Woods to start your free 7-day trial. That's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist. Blinkist.com/Woods to start your free 7-day trial. Blinkist.com/Woods. All right, let's say a little something about the attacks on Joe Biden. They're all sort of predictable. Mm-hmm. It's that Joe Biden is too right-wing, and because of positions he held 25 years ago or something. And I remember, maybe it was Castro? Mm-hmm. I forget. He responded to one of them by saying, look, you're really unhappy with me right now because of what happened in the Obama administration. But you were there at the time, and I don't recall you saying anything at the time. Yeah. The only thing that appears to have changed is that the two of us are running for president. And I know that response obviously didn't really land, but it did land with me, because I thought I could just imagine being in Biden's position, and these ambitious, people just exploiting the situation. I mean, who couldn't have cared less, obviously, about half the things they're talking about, right, when they actually had power to do something about it. But now suddenly they're going to be the great crusaders for justice in front of everybody, and it's just a little bit too much for Biden to stand there and take. I mean, out of the 300 and something million people in America, I at least appreciated that point, because I know the type. I know the type. At the time, not a word, because all these people, they portray themselves as crusaders for justice and how courageous they are. But 9 times out of 10, when they're in a position to do anything, they clam up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always good to see some of these self-important, self-righteous politicians, called out for their baloney. And that I thought was the highlight of Biden's performance, where he could take a punch and throw it right back at him. But what's interesting is that Biden faced this sort of criticism 3 ways. This isn't going anywhere. This is an issue that's going to remain with him. But he got attacked by Castro, he got attacked by de Blasio, and he got attacked by the debate, or by the audience itself. Right? You actually had that chanting about deportations. So that's not a good side either. So he got attacked 3 ways on that issue. But the problem is that Biden's only justification for running at all is being Obama's VP. And so, and Castro had a good follow-up on this and say, hey, look, Joe, nobody likes evoking the name Barack Obama more than you do. But when it actually comes to his record, you try to say that, you have no fingerprints on it. I mean, that is also hypocritical from Biden's side. So, I think that this is, again, I think that Biden has the position he has simply because of name recognition, because of that Obama prestige. He's actually doing better with black voters than Kamala Harris is. and some of the others, which might be a little surprising, except for the fact that that's just Obama carryover. And what's interesting, though, is that he's not fundraising the way that you would expect like a Hillary Clinton sort of candidate in the race to do, which I think shows some of the underlying cracks in his campaign and why I don't think he's going to win a state when it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, he opens himself up to all of this. And, there's the great line about, Castro was trying to describe Trump's economic policies as white nationalists. I just wanted someone to ask, does Obama, being a far bigger deporter in chief, does that make him a half white nationalist, right? Because again, the idea that they can use these attacks on Trump and call him names on some of this stuff, and then completely run away from the actual realities of the Obama administration. I think that the superficial nature of all this, I think, is one of the reasons these people are struggling offering anything of actual substance during any of these debates.
We can't have a white nationalist in the White House. How hysterical can you possibly be?
Of course, I mean, last night Don Lemon said that it's racist to say that Maryland has rats. So, I mean, I know there's a big online meme out there. That was a racist
tweet, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a big online meme out there about how birds aren't real. I mean, maybe Don Lemon believes that rats aren't real. Perhaps that is his justification behind all of this.
Well, I mean, look, I think it's about time that somebody said, look, the Democrats have been in charge of the major cities for half a century. And as a result of that, do we have gleaming metropolises everywhere?
Right.
I mean, everybody, how stupid would you have to be? Have you visited Baltimore?
Oh,
have you
absolutely.
visited these places? They're uninhabitable in some parts. They're obviously, and the people who live there know that better than anybody. I mean, for crying out loud, somebody who actually lives there could seriously be offended by that statement. I mean, grow up. Come on. I mean, look around at these places. Give me a break. Apparently there is a well-known libertarian podcast that, oh yeah, it was very racist to say that.
Oh yeah.
Can we just stop being 7 years old all the time? I mean, okay, fine. Use whatever word you want to use. What about the content of the statement? I don't care what word you want to use that's fashionable and chic to describe it. What about the content of the claim?
Right.
I mean, are these places desirable? I mean, do you want to move there? I'll help you move. We'll get moving vans and we'll get these people to go. Of course, not in a million years would they want to move to any of these places, which proves the point.
And people are leaving in droves for a good reason. I mean, Trump is great at playing the role of Pied Piper with the media. Sometimes his destinations don't make a lot of sense, even for him. Like he'll distract from otherwise good news in the news cycle, and Trump is Trump. But I think this is one of his most brilliant moves yet. And I think that it's probably something that he will continue on. I mean, we're going to have Democrats defending San Francisco streets, covered in poop. We're going to have Democrats defending Chicago. I mean, I think this is one of the best strategies that he's used. Basically, these people in these neighborhoods, they know, they may not like Trump, but I think that if you really go to them, it's like, look, you've been taken advantage of. I think that's the best message that he could possibly come up with some of these people.
Yeah, I like the idea of forcing them to defend what's going on in San Francisco. Yeah. And then all you got to do, the ads write themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You have a camera in a car that just covers everything that you're seeing as you're driving by. And then you just have voiceovers of Democrats talking about how wonderful these places are, yep, and that it's racist to say there might be anything wrong with them. And then you interview a couple of people who say, yeah, I live in an unsafe and filthy neighborhood. And yeah, I've voted for Democratic and even black politicians my whole life. And it's been exactly this way my whole life. So yeah, I guess I'm over people saying it's racist to say anything. I don't care what you say it is to say. I would like to have a livable place, Is that so wrong? I would like to have a place that's livable. That's all I'm asking for. And anybody who says anything about the way I'm living is immediately condemned. And this thing, it just boggles my mind. And there are actual libertarians out there,
I know,
who are upset about the perceived racism of pointing out that the Democrats have not exactly created a paradise on earth, which is the logic of their argument is that the more government spending there is, the better people's quality of life will be. Well, then New York City and these other places, every single thing, it should be a paradise. Whereas it's unaffordable, for one thing. Forget about the filth. In New York, it's unaffordable for people. And they don't have to answer for it.
again, like these respectable libertarian circles in the Beltway, again, I don't know if they're intentionally, maybe it's an inside job, but yeah, this sort of response to these sort of things. Or again, I loved it last week where, Rand Paul, how dare Rand Paul say rude things about a politician?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're libertarian. Like, we're supposed to be making fun of politicians. I guess, we have to tone police our political rhetoric on again, people that want to destroy us. Okay, like that's what the ideology of the far left Democrats are. They're not looking for compromise. They're not looking to live and let live. I mean, they're looking to destroy private property. They're looking to destroy capitalism.
But beyond that, though,
I mean,
yeah, but beyond that, Rand was Mother Teresa compared to the way these libertarians treat other libertarians.
Yes, exactly.
The things they say, I mean, the implication that they're fascists or that, they're maybe kind of like Hitler. I mean, I hear this from so-called libertarians, and that's perfectly fine. But don't you dare say anything about a sitting member of Congress because you're just, what the... I belong to the Hans Hoppe school that says that what you need to do with politicians is ridicule them at every opportunity.
Yep.
Instead of buying into this idea that they're a separate class of people who deserve a certain dignity or I want my president to be presidential. And what? Stop talking like that. Stop talking like that.
Right.
You are validating the whole regime every time you say things like,
I wish he would behave in a way that's more presidential.
Stop talking like your third grade teacher, for crying out loud.
Right. I mean, this is precisely why Murray Rothbard was the most successful, had more influence on the political system than just about any other libertarian out there. I mean, this is exactly what he understood well. We have to get normal people entertained and outraged at what these parasites are doing. And again, like the fact, if you are a libertarian out there, you don't realize that Rand Paul's only true political value is being Donald Trump's golf buddy and making fun of John Bolton either in front of or behind his back, and then trying to get him to not bomb Iran. Like that is the most important thing out there. And guess what? If insulting a politician helps with that end, well, then I hope he does it every single day because that is what matters. It's the fact these people don't get it. You have to, at a certain point, you have to start wondering whether these people are just that incompetent or whether they truly have ulterior motives, because it is unbelievable.
And to say that Rand is being xenophobic when Rand is the guy who would like to prevent foreigners from being killed.
Right.
And they say that about Ron Paul, that he's xenophobic, whatever. So, okay, but no one called John McCain xenophobic. But you know what? I will officially say John McCain was xenophobic because it was one war after another with this guy.
Yeah.
And I happen to think that killing people is worse than calling them names. I do.
It's a bold stand
I think
there.
Killing people is worse than calling them names.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about winners and losers.
Okay.
So you said Tulsi's a winner in some sense, but we don't know if she's going to reach the threshold necessary to get into the next debate. I don't know that for sure. But how do you assess winners and losers and maybe people who just stood still? You don't have to go through all of them.
Right.
The ones who stood out to you.
Yeah, I think the winners are the meme candidates in this cycle here. I think that I would be surprised if Tulsi does not qualify for the next debate based off of this performance. Now, whether it goes forward, we'll see. Again, she could be a little smarter in who she reaches out to help secure that, but I think she did enough there to get her to the next debate stage. And I think the same is true with Andrew Yang. I think as far as kind of the normal people, I think that Booker, he still has enough money in the bank, and I thought his performance last night was of the respectable candidates on the stage. I thought he helped himself perhaps the most. Castro has been solid, I think, in terms of normal Democratic circle. We actually had, I was watching the debate last night with a Auburn student here who's a lefty. And yeah, I didn't let him know that I was part of that I was on the other side on this one. So it was interesting getting his feedback. And he really liked Booker in this. Castro, I think, would have been competent enough. The problem, he's bleeding money. So I think, at this point, if you do not have enough money in the bank to pay your staff in the next couple of months, then you're not going to be long in this race. And so if you haven't had that breakup moment by this point, you're not going to do it. So I think most of the stage is going to go down very, very soon. And I think as far as those people, the people that are going forward, I think this was a bad night for Kamala Harris, and I thought it was a bad night for Joe Biden. And that was, in fact, I was surprised by how bad the instant analysis from the CNN people was for Joe Biden last night. I thought they would try to prop him up a little bit because he did a little bit better than last time, but no, they still weren't giving him love. So the losers that matter, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. The big winner was Gabbard. I think the other two winners were Booker and Yang. The rest I just don't think matter. And unfortunately for New Yorkers, that means that Bill de Blasio may be spending more time in his city again. So my condolences to Michael Malice.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, I don't think I have. I'm trying to think if there's anything particular we want to link to. Yeah, let's link on the show notes page to the exchange between Tulsi and Harris. Good. Let's do that. Yeah. So let's put that video. That'll be at tomwoods.com/1460, 1460. And though I don't know what they're going to be doing with the debates, maybe there'll be two, maybe there'll be one, but either way, we'll have to talk again soon. Thanks a lot.
Been a pleasure and an honor, Tom.
All right, folks. Now remember, if you enjoy the Tom Woods Show and yet do not belong to the Tom Woods Show elite, well, there's something a little screwy going on there, isn't there? That is the name of my private group, access to which is available at supportinglisteners.com. I solicit questions and topic ideas and guest ideas there, but also we just have great discussions on all sorts of topics, smart people who will help you out if there's anything that's stumping you. It's just a lot of fun. But there are many other benefits too. You get 60% off if you want to get an annual membership at libertyclassroom.com. You get 60% off if you're a supporting listener. I mean, there are a lot of benefits to being a supporting listener. So how do you become one? Head over to supportinglisteners.com. I'll see you tomorrow.
Become a smarter libertarian in just 30 minutes a day. Visit tomwoods.com to subscribe to the show for free, and we'll see you next time.
Like the sound of the Tom Woods Show? My audio production is provided by Podsworth Media. Check them out at podsworth.com.